Hello guys, RoosterGamer420 here, and we are going to react to some more awful Bubsy 3D reviews, just like last time, but this time they're going to be mixed reviews rather than Spanish reviews. This time there's other reviews to be reviewed. Have Nitro Rats review. We will check Nitro Rats review, but later. Here it is. The worst PlayStation game ever made. Bubsy 3D review by Stan Birdman. No, Bubsy 3D is really good. This is the worst review ever made. Alright, let's begin.
Before the 6-axis controls, the vibrating functions, the online multiplayer play, the 12-year-old 360 fans saying Sony is inferior for such completely arbitrary reasons as it's not as user-friendly. You know what's not user-friendly? Having to get your system replaced every few months. Anyway, before all that, there was the Sony PlayStation in its infancy. A pure console. Not yet affected by the cruel and unforgiving world of gaming. All of that quickly changed in 1996 as Bubsy 3D was released and in many ways took PlayStation's innocence. Bubsy 3D is a failure of exceptional proportions on every level. One of these exceptional proportions you will see right away.
Really? Bubsy 3D is a great game, and it didn't take the PlayStation's innocence. In fact, Bubsy 3D is too pure for this world. In my opinion, Bubsy 3D is too pure for this world.
Is the voice acting of Bubsy.
You did read the instructions, didn't you? Hey, what buttons did you press? Pay attention!
Shut up. 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 Shut your mouth. Would you please just stop it? It's not funny. Your voice isn't adorable.
His voice is adorable.
It's not sassy. It's just really, just stop talking. Please just don't stop the... Alright, game. I know what you want me to do. Oh, that's good.
Let me explain everything wrong with that part. First of all, Bubsy does not talk that much. Bubsy does not talk that much. Only in the first level he kinda talks a lot. But it's for the tutorial. And his voice is charming. He's got a lot of attitude. I love it. Second of all, his voice is not unsufferable. In fact, Bubsy 3D's voice is my favorite Bubsy voice. If you didn't already know. Third of all, why did you just play all voice clips in a random order to show how it's like Bubsy's voice in Bubsy 3D? I don't know why. At least he doesn't say it's gibberish like some other reviews.
It's like I just put out a fire inside my ears.
No, it's not like that.
I would rather have an unprotected orgy with the Osborne family than have to ever play this game again.
Again? This is really offensive. This actually pisses me off. This game is great, and I absolutely adore it. And this guy is just blaspheming. It's blasphemous. This is just blasphemous. He's saying that he rather had an I better don't talk about it than playing this game again. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Mr. Stan Birdman? What's wrong with you?
Game has the graphics of an amateur flash cartoon made by a 13-year-old and then uploaded to Newgrounds.
No. The game has the graphics of Looney Tunes. Of 3D Looney Tunes XD. Yeah.
The platforming element of this platformer is just frustratingly bad. You have to stop at every sharp turn on a platformer, even on the ground, to actually turn so that you won't accidentally fall off or go in the wrong direction due to the broken movement animation of this awful red cat thing.
1. It's orange. 2. The platforming in Bubsy 3D is by far the best platforming I've ever seen from a 5th generation platformer. 3. It's not bad at all. You don't even have to turn around. You just jump. And you can move in any direction. And that's pretty useful.
I think it's a bobcat, actually. Moving on platforms in this game is like pulling teeth, crocodile teeth, out of your eyelid. There is some speculation. This game was programmed by...
Oh yeah. The moving around platforms in Mario 64 is like pushing a giant 100-ton boulder with your bare hands. If moving platforms around platforms in Bubsy 3D is like pulling crocodile teeth out of your eyelid, then moving in Mario 64 is like trying to push a 100-ton boulder with your bare hands without any help.
By an actual bobcat. This could, in theory, explain and excuse this game's unrelenting, lackluster textures and the frame rate of a children's pop-up book.
Oh yeah? Let me just check. Let me just check. I opened the emulator and I'm going to check how much frame rate this game has. Okay, here we are. We have the frame rate right here. Okay, it's 60 during the menus, but let's see during gameplay to see if the frame rate is really that bad as he says. $60. Take a note. Take a note. Look at the top left corner of the screen. 60 FPS. It apparently runs at 60 FPS. Is 60 FPS bad? Is 60 FPS the frame rate of a children's pop-up book? Is 60 FPS choppy? No, absolutely not. 60 FPS ain't choppy. It's not like a children's pop-up book. This guy's just dead wrong. This guy's just dead wrong. Alright, let's continue with this garbage.
For some reason, the creators of Bubsy 3D decided to start the game off with the worst looking level. Now the graphics and the actual frame rate of the game are constant throughout the game, through all the levels. But for some reason, in this particular level, the background scenery is just disturbingly bad looking. Look at these mountains, like, it's not finished. They forgot to finish the background scenery of this game. Look at these goddamn blue mountains. That is clearly not done yet. Now level 2.
It's an alien planet! Come on! It's an alien planet! This review is really making me mad. This review is really making me mad Perhaps I should not watch it. But I have to do this because I have to review bad Bubsy 3D reviews. I have to react to them because they're awful, and everyone reacts to awful things now.
2 of the game is pretty much identical to level 1, except it has
Oh yeah, pretty much identical to level 1. It's not like Claustrophobic Alarm is straightforward and easy to follow, and Claustrophobic is like a mini open world. Totally not like that. Totally not like that. It's not like Claustrophobic Alarm doesn't have SOT enemies. It's not, nor UFOs. Totally not. They're the exact same levels, just a copy paste. Right? Right?
this telescope thing that shows you where the end of the level is.
That is not the end of the level, you dumbass.
Now these levels are very short, so this thing seems pretty pointless. Level 3 of the game? Well, you guessed it, more of the same. The same generic weird enemies that you'll see throughout the entire game. Unfinished blue mountains and a weird chess-style floor. I don't even know why the floor is divided up into squares.
It's an alien planet. Once again, it's an alien planet. Has to be weird. Come on. Same generic enemies? No, they're not the same. There's like 16 different enemies in the entire game.
Whatever. Now level 4 is where we encounter the first boss, and boy is this a horrible looking place. There's a chess style floor outside of this ring, and the boss shoots awful looking fire at you, and there's like math equations on the walls of this room, and if you step on the chessboard that's outside the square that you're supposed to be in, it kills you. Like, why?
It kills you. It just teleports you. Also, it's supposed to be a laboratory. Why do you wonder about the math equations? It's supposed to be a laboratory. It's Professor Woolly Nerdopowitz. It's his laboratory. Duh.
Like, I don't see anything deadly about stepping on white and black squares.
It's teleport floor. It's not deadly. It just teleports you. It's teleporting floor. Teleport floor appears in basically most of the levels and has the same black and white pattern in all of them. So if you know there's a black and white checkerboard, it's teleporting floor.
Now level 5 is the first ever water level, and these are actually pretty damn good. These are an interesting change of pace. I mean, the graphics still suck. It's still not really fun to move around and to do all the stuff that you're supposed to enjoy in a platformer, but the music here is pretty nice, and it's really...
The water levels are the best? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? The water levels are the worst of the levels. They're a bit samey. Yeah, they're better than the water levels in other games, but they're a bit samey. There's not too much to do in this game, in those levels. In the game is fantastic, but there's not too much things to do in the water levels. So why are they good? Explain me, why are they good?
Kind of a relaxing atmosphere. I don't know. It's mediocre. If this was any other game, I would say this is just a mediocre level. But since it's the worst PlayStation game ever,
no, it's the best PlayStation platformer ever.
I would say this is a good level.
No, this is a bad level for the standards of the game. The other bad levels are, well, all the water levels, and Louisville Horror is not that bad, but it's still pretty low for the game's land level standards.
Now level 6 brings us back to land with a pretty big improvement in scenery, but still a giant lack of fun and horrible frame rate.
60 FPS, and the game is fun enough, was fun enough to make me complete it 18 times. And I'm going for the 19th time. It's really good. It's really fun. Don't listen to this man. This man's just dead wrong.
The next level brings us back to basics with that generic enemy that shoots spit at you. They're a different color now, but it's the same goddamn enemy. Why couldn't you just make the enemies look different? My god, how hard is it to change the animation of a pixel? Next.
Really? There's 16 enemies in the entire game. 16 different enemies.
Another water level. It's pretty much the same as the first water level. There's not much to say about it except that it sucks.
It doesn't suck. I think it's the only game where the water levels don't suck, but they're rather uninteresting. Only uninteresting. They don't suck, but they are rather uninteresting.
Just like every other level.
Water level. Water level.
Look at the frame skip and the movement and the enemies. Ugh. You know, I think this game could have easily been made on the Super Nintendo.
Really? Did the Super Nintendo support textured polygons? Ground shading? CD quality audio? Really? Did the Super Nintendo support that? Because if it did, then the Super Nintendo's way more capable of what I expected. And could run Mario 64. If the Super Nintendo supposedly can run Bubsy 3D, it can also run Crash Bandicoot and Mario 64.
I mean, this has the frame rate and the graphics of like Star Fox.
Really? The frame rate is silky smooth as we already discussed before. And the graphics are really nice.
I do give the water levels credit in terms of music. It's pretty nice. Next, another level with palm trees. Like, why are they recycling levels?
Recycling levels? It's called level teams, you dumbass. It's called level teams. And there are 6 level teams in the game. Not like Mario 64 when there's very few level teams, very few variation between assets from level to level. But Bubsy 3D has more variety than Mario 64 now that I think about it.
There's plenty of memory for new pixelated environments. This is a fucking PlayStation game. This is not Atari. You don't need to recycle this much.
They don't recycle at all. Each level has its own unique layout. Each level has its own unique layout and music.
After this, we have a boss level. It's like a baby elephant with 2 trunks, and it's red, I guess.
It's a mammoth. It's called the Woolly Mammoth.
I have to fight him inside a ring, but the ring's floor has once again a chess quality to it for some reason, and the elephant spins. I don't know about you, but I think this is like the worst animated character I have ever seen in a PlayStation game. Look at this goddamn elephant. It brings this game's graphics to a new low.
Really? It's really well animated. The animations in this game are really expressive and really well done, especially for the time.
Next level has a background that has a moderate amount of effort put into it. It's like a surreal city at night. It's pretty good. But the actual level still sucks because they recycled the same enemies again.
No! It's that the game has its enemies divided in generic enemies and special enemies. Generic enemies are Woolies, UFOs, and SOTs, while special enemies are like Woolies, like Scringes, Smart Bombs, etc., etc., Hummers, etc., etc. There is a set of special enemies per level team, plus the generic enemies, which are Woolies and SOTs.
How many times are they gonna use the same goddamn enemy and just change its color? Please kill me. Yes. Sweet, sweet death. Following is a level of extremely false advertising. Look at this picture. That looks like Bubsy will be in some kind of spaceship in a fast-paced race. Now this is the spaceship here, and that's it. Are you kidding me? I can't even control it. It just goes around a square.
It's called spectacle. It's called spectacle. And it's not bad that a game has spectacle every now and then.
Live. Look at this. Look how slow this is. It's like a children's teacup ride.
It's the very first rocket car you hop onto. So of course it's gonna be slow. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. I'm really mad right now. Is this over yet? No. Oh. Anyways, we're going to react to another review, Nitro Rats review. Here we are. Let's skip the intro.
This game should have come out in this current state. Well, you gotta
Really?
keep in mind that this game was in development long before either of those games were even publicly shown. So these poor guys over here, they thought they were doing something original that has never been done before. They thought they were inventing the 3D platformer. But oh no, here comes Crash and Mario, and they're both doing the same thing we're doing, except a lot better.
Crash Bandicoot is way worse than Bubsy 3D. It's way less good than Bubsy 3D, and Mario 64 is on the same level as Bubsy 3D. In my opinion, it's on the same level as Bubsy 3D. While Crash Bandicoot is inferior to it. Completely inferior to Bubsy 3D.
There was a reasonable amount of hype behind this game. EGM held many previews for it, but they understood the bar Bubsy would have to meet. Bubsy 3D is preparing to be released into a sea of red-hot competition. Nobody expected it to live up to Crash and Mario, but nobody imagined just how badly it would crash and burn either.
Crash and Mario. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Out of the 5th generation platformers that had out of the 3D transitions from the 5th generation, I think Bubsy had the best 3D transition. They improved the franchise so much. Like, the 2D games were good, but weren't great. Bubsy 3D is fantastic, on the other hand. It's absolutely amazing. The only Bubsy game that I can consider bad is Fractured Fairy Tales. Like, not even Bubsy 2 Game Boy. Bubsy 2 Game Boy is honestly a pretty decent port for what it is.
What we got was a piece of poop. And despite that, they had the nerve to write these accolades on the front cover. And I know what you're thinking.
Oh. Once again, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
Meeting at the end and says a bunch of non sequiturs in a row. This cutscene is like 5 minutes long, and it pretty much explains what I just said with one sentence. Bubsy crashes the meeting at the end and says a bunch of non sequiturs in a row.
I know I should have taken that left turn at Uranus. Was it something I said? What could possibly go wrong?
It's like a kid who knows he's not funny, so he just fires off every joke he knows in quick succession and just hopes someone likes one of them, like spraying bullets and hoping you hit a target. Okay, title screen.
They're actually funny and really charming, if you ask me.
That render of Bubsy is ugly as hell. I mean, early 3D renders never look that great anyway, but there's a certain charm to them, you know. The colors weren't quite right yet, the roundness, the roughness, it's all iconic in its own way, but Bubsy...
Oh yeah, Mario 64 renders to show what a good render is!
Spiky fur, the bulgy eyes, the gross feet, it's just... ugh. And okay, here we
It's actually really good. They're really good renders.
have the level select screen. It looks like there's, about 18 stages total. Alright, I guess this is it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to beat this game. I'm going to beat Bubsy 3D. Wish me luck.
Dude, I beat Bubsy 3D around 18 times. And I say it's a great game. I know what I'm talking about.
Another great render in the loading screen. I think it's supposed to be him finding Bubsy 3D in a stack of CDs and being like, check it out, I found a good one. But that's not even what the disc art looks like though.
It's a beta disc art. It's a beta disc art, obviously.
And here we have level 1, so Bubsy starts off by telling us the ropes, I guess.
Grab all the items you see. There's plenty of them in each level. And if you get enough of them, you'll be in for some surprises.
God, that voice is so annoying. But yeah, anyway, you're probably thinking, yeah, duh, I know, dude, you don't need to tell me, but you gotta keep in mind this was the first game ever like this when the guys were actually making it, so it's understandable they'd assume players wouldn't have been familiar with something like this. Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. This game uses tank controls. Well,
But you can move in any direction while jumping, which fixes everything.
I guess Mario 64 was the first game to have full analog controls in conjunction with a moving camera, but good
More good
lord, it feels like I dropped the controller in a puddle of mud.
Good lord, Mario 64's camera is actually so bad. It gets stuck in objects and I hate it.
Bubsy is so slow to react, and steering him is like...
Bubsy 3D's controls are tight and responsive with the only exception of the turning speed, which isn't how bad either. It's actually pretty good.
It's like driving a car that doesn't have tires. It doesn't feel right at all. Jumping is going to make the camera look down at the ground, which really isn't as disorienting as people really make it out to be. Honestly, it does really help make these jumps easier. The reason making jumps is so hard isn't because of this camera, it's because of the control. Bubsy feels really heavy. It's so easy.
Like Kirby 64 didn't feel really heavy as well. Like Mario 64 doesn't feel stiff as well. They do! They do!
To undershoot and to overshoot platforms. I kinda got a feel for it eventually, but throughout my entire playthrough, I would often have difficulty making jumps that in any other game would be incredibly simple.
Really? No. Not at all.
If it wasn't for that ledge grab move, I don't think I would have been able to get anywhere in this game. This problem extends to jumping on enemies as well. Oh my god, something this simple should not be this difficult to do without taking damage. You'll mainly
Really?
square off against Woolies, but there's a couple of other enemies too, each one more annoying than the last. The worst one are these, I think they're cobras? Their bodies are complete...
Their slime's called scringes. Their slime's called scringes.
see-through, so you can hardly even see them. He can't jump...
Of course, you can't see them, their eyes, nor their face, nor their teeth.
on them either, so you just have to run from them, and they run faster than you, and with how long it takes to...
Really? They don't run faster than you. Actually, if you hold down the R1 button, they won't even catch you.
turn around so you can run in the other direction, it's absolutely impossible to get away from them. A lot of times I don't even bother turning around. I just mash the X button and try to jump away because that's the only form of movement that doesn't require
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's impossible to avoid a scringe. Me who has avoided a billion scringes in all my 18 playthroughs. What about me?
facing the direction you want.
What about Dart Eye? What about any good Bubsy 3D player in the world? Of the very few Bubsy 3D players there are.
To go. These bird guys are really irritating too. They're so fast and they're really hard to jump on. So of course it's best to try and avoid them instead of taking them out, but even that's hard to do because they shoot projectiles at you. Well,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
well, at least you
No.
have a way of knowing when enemies are nearby. You know how Zelda games often have this music change when there's an enemy close by? Bubsy does the same thing by adding a percussion track over the music.
It's not a single percussion track. Each enemy has its own distinct sound and music.
Oh my god, it's so annoying. It sounds like a buzzsaw drilling through sand or something, and it happens so frequently too. Every time you're near a Woolly, which is more than half of the time, about as often as you're close to a Goomba in the original Super Mario Brothers. Can you imagine nails on a chalkboard every time you're by a Goomba? That's Bubsy 3D. The only feasible way to take out enemies, aside from jumping on their heads, is by grabbing an atom and shooting it at them.
Oh yeah, it's not totally like Woolies humming a military tune with their nose. It's totally not that. It's a buzzsaw drilling through sand. It's nails on a chalkboard.
At them. These are the collectibles in this game.
Alright, perhaps I should go more in depth in these reviews. Into these reviews, but overall they are just bashing the game, and more bashing the game for no reason at all. Even though Nitro Rat's review is kinda developed, but still sucks. Still one of the worst reviews of all time. Alright, see you next time, guys. And remember, Bubsy 3D is a great game and nobody can tell you otherwise.